Pay attention to me now, because what you are about to hear can change how you direct every minute of your day. Imagine for a moment that there is an invisible border between two versions of you, the person who gives in to every impulse and the person who decides, quietly and deliberately, what to let through. The difference is not luck or talent. It is the control you hand to the primitive reward machine inside your brain. Napoleon Hill taught that the mind is the only territory no one can take from you unless you hand it over, and that phrase will be our compass. Picture yourself at the center of a quiet command room, the smell of coffee in the air, a soft hum of the city outside, the texture of a notebook under your fingers, the small vibration of your phone that you choose to ignore. This video will show you not just the idea, but the engineering, how to identify the trigger, how to rewire the routine, and how to plant a ritual that gives you at least 1 hour of deep, uninterrupted focus every day. Stay with me, because in the next minutes, you will get a practical plan, 3 immediate micro actions, and a challenge for 7 consecutive days that proves the method works. Preste atenção now, because everything starts the instant you understand this. You wake to a habit, not a decision. You reach for instant dopamine, for the easy relief of notifications and small thrills, and hours evaporate. The contrast is brutal. On one side, a life that drifts, appointments missed, ideas half finished, afternoons spent in reactive mode. On the other side, a life with momentum, small wins stacked like bricks, a sense of identity that says, I am the person who shows up. The problem is concrete and visible. Your impulses are triggered by cues as ordinary as light on a screen, the sound of a message, the sight of an app icon. Dopamine cheapens experience. It rewards behavior that is immediate and easy. You are not lazy, you are adapted to convenience. The diagnosis is simple. The cue-reward loop runs on automation, and until you deliberately alter the loop, the machine keeps deciding for you. Marcus, Elena, Sarah, David, Priya, Luis, Jenna, and Coach Reynolds all show up in this story as mirrors and as pressure points. Marcus texts at 2 in the morning, Elena brings coffee and excuses, Sarah models discipline in small rituals, David forgets commitments, Priya measures progress with a pen on paper, Luis distracts with charm, Jenna challenges you to be honest, and Coach Reynolds gives orders that sting. Each one will test you, and each one will teach you something specific. Let me explain the mental mechanics so the solution stops sounding like magic. Your brain runs on 3 parts in this loop: the cue, the routine, and the reward. A cue is sensory, immediate, visible. It can be the brightness of your screen, the scent of warm coffee, the empty chair in your office. A routine is the action you perform without thinking. A reward is the dopamine flash that tells the brain it found something worth remembering. Neuroscience shows that repetition strengthens neural pathways, that the synapse reorganizes toward the behaviors it most rehearses. Simple science, brutal consequence. If you feed it scrolling, you will get scrolling instincts. If you feed it 10 pages of reading every morning, you will get a reading identity. The practical implication is that you do not need more willpower, you need design. Remove the cue or replace the routine. Make the right action the path of least resistance. This is not therapy, it is engineering. It is not about punishing yourself. It is about building friction around bad options and flow around good ones. Imagine the opposite now, a day where your rituals carry you through. You wake, you feel the cool sheet against your forearm. You hear the kettle click, you breathe deliberately, and you reach for a notebook instead of your phone. You taste the bitter edge of black coffee, and it pairs with a calm focus you can feel in your jaw and shoulders. You open 3 focused windows of work. You check a single list, you close everything else. The mind that used to be scattered now has scaffolding. The reward shifts from the cheap spike of novelty to the steady accumulation of progress. That is the practical alternative, the one you can build 1 micro-action at a time. Picture rituals that protect your attention like a gate, like wallpaper that repels impulses and paints over old neural paths. The evidence is in simple experiments. After 21 repetitions, a behavior feels easier. After 30 days, it resists friction, and after 3 months, it begins to feel like identity. Napoleon Hill is not the only reference. Modern studies on neuroplasticity and conditioning confirm the same rule. Practice shapes the brain. Now the program, the exact engineering you can apply, step by step. First, audit your cues for a single day. Keep a small log like Priya does, a clean page with timestamps and sensations. Second, create a 1-minute pre-commitment ritual that interrupts the automatic route. It can be a deep breath, 3 slow counts, a visual anchor like placing your hand on a book. Third, design a substitute routine that is easier than the old routine and gives you a reward that is delayed but meaningful. For example, instead of diving into social media when you feel a surge of boredom, open a short writing document and write 1 sentence about what you want from that hour. Fourth, implement a 2-zone rule around attention. Zone 1 is sacred for deep work, marked by a red sticky note on your desk, an audible timer, and a physical barrier like moving your phone to another room. Zone 2 is for maintenance tasks and small rewards. Fifth, schedule micro rewards that are proportional and earned only after you complete the ritual. These are not massive treats. They are a sip of coffee after 45 focused minutes, a 5-minute walk after finishing a section, a deliberate stretch with music you love. The point is to reassign reward to actions that build value. Now listen to a short scene so you feel how this works in practice. You are in your kitchen. The kettle hisses. Elena says, "Did you check your messages?" You answer, "Not yet. I am doing the morning ritual." Elena laughs. "Come on, 1 peek will not hurt." You say, "When I peek, I lose the hour." Elena asks, "Are you serious about this discipline or just playing at it?" You reply, "I am serious." Elena presses, "Then show me." You breathe, you take the notebook, you write 1 line, you close the phone in another room, you feel the first small victory like a warmth in your chest when the kettle stops and the room smells of citrus and coffee. The dialogue flows in 5 exchanges, and each line carries sound, touch, sight, smell, and the metallic feel of the pen in your hand. The scene is sensory. You hear the click of ceramic, the soft fabric of your shirt against skin, the sharp aroma of coffee, the small weight of the phone in the next room, the taste of a clean breath. Scenes like this are the training ground. Backstory of the protagonist appears now because identity matters. You grew up in a home where survival meant reacting, where decisions were made for you. As a teenager, you learned the quick fix of distraction, a habit seeded by lack in comfort, a way to avoid the anxiety of making hard choices. In your 20s, you chased short highs, dates, and screens, and built a life that felt full but hollow. Later, you had a job with responsibility and realized you were failing yourself in small ways that aggregated into long-term drift. That history explains you, not excuses you. It is the soil where your current impulses sprout. You decided to try again when a friend named Sarah handed you a worn journal and said, "If you do nothing else, write 1 sentence a day." That sentence became a hinge. The backstory, split across moments of loss and small returns, teaches that identity can be rewritten with consistent small evidence. This portion holds about 700 characters, and it should feel like a warm, honest portrait, divided in intent across memories of discomfort and moments of quiet decision. Insert the CTA for comments here because community pressure is useful and you need a public promise. If you recognized yourself in that diagnosis, write in the comments 1 micro-action you will try in the next 24 hours. Start simply. Today, I will write 1 sentence before checking my phone. When you post that line, you create a small social contract. Coach Reynolds, who appears at 1/3 our path, will check in mentally. He says accountability matters more than intention. By placing a short pledge, you move the spine of habit from private to social, and social gravity helps. Now we go deeper into practice with a concrete challenge you must run for 7 days. Each morning, before any screens, do a 3-minute anchor. Breathe 3 deep measured breaths, place your hand on a notebook, write the single sentence that clarifies purpose for the day, and stand up and stretch for 10 seconds. For work blocks, use 45 minutes of focus followed by 10 minutes of movement.
5 rules for the challenge are clear. Design friction for the bad option. Make the good option immediate and easy. Attach a visible tally to each day like Jenna does with a calendar. Review the day for 5 minutes before sleep like David. And celebrate cumulative wins on the 7th day with a small, meaningful ritual like dinner with someone you respect. The instructions are sensory. Feel the paper. Hear the timer chime. Taste the coffee only after the block. Smell the evening air while you review. You will fail. There is pressure in every attempt to change. Here are 3 moments of tension to expect and how to use them. The first moment is the late afternoon slump when attention is thin and the couch whispers. Internally, you feel a heaviness in your limbs like gravity increasing. Memories of instant relief crowd your head, and you remember a time when you surrendered and felt guilty for days. Breathe, stand, walk to the window, touch the glass, name the impulse out loud. The second moment is social pressure, when Marcus invites you to joke and scroll in a group chat and the desire to belong outranks progress. Your chest tightens, your palms sweat, you feel a small heat behind the eyes like a coming storm. Say no and offer a different action. Suggest a shared walk or a 5-minute check-in later. The third moment is the quiet defeat after a slip, when shame arrives and tells you this is who you are. The memory surfaces of every past failure, the taste of salt, the metallic smell of the kitchen light bulb, the small curl of regret on your tongue. Write for 5 minutes what happened, then close the notebook and do one micro-action that rebuilds evidence. Each of these tension moments deserves at least 400 characters of internal process and practical recovery steps so you can rehearse the recovery before the collapse. Now we rehearse dialogues again, this time with Coach Reynolds and Lewis in a workplace scene, so the exchanges are alive and instructional. Coach Reynolds says, "Why are you leaving your phone on the desk?" You say, "It is a habit I am breaking." Lewis laughs, "Habits are soft words for self-discipline." Coach Reynolds replies, "Habits are built like walls, one brick at a time." Lewis asks, "What if the bricks fall?" You answer, "Then I will lay another." The exchange runs through 5 trocas, and the room is textured with the smell of paper, the scratch of pen, the cool metal of the chair, the distant traffic like a low drum, and the taste of gum. These sensory elements anchor the scene. You must create rituals that are sensory and portable. A morning ritual can combine the smell of coffee, the texture of a cold cup, the sight of a closed social app drawer, the sound of a bell, and the taste of water. A night ritual can include the feel of a warm blanket, the sight of a dim lamp, the sound of 2-minute reflection, the smell of soap, and the small reward of a cup of herbal tea. A night ritual can include the feel of a warm blanket, the sight of a dim lamp, the sound of 2-minute reflection, the smell of soap, and the small reward of a cup of herbal tea. Identity is built on repetition of rituals that are experienced not abstractly, but concretely. Discipline becomes pleasurable when it is consistent, predictable, and attached to sensory cues. Now the epilogue in 3 time slices so you can see the trajectory if you follow the method. After 1 month, you will notice a quiet shift. The first 30 days are rough, but they are the most honest test. You will replace easy gratification with small, sustained rewards, and you will have 15 to 20 more focused hours in your month. You will wake with less anxiety because the morning micro-action has claimed the first hour of your day. People around you will begin to notice a change in tone. You will have journal evidence on 2 or 3 days that proves the brain is learning new routes. After 3 months, the change is visible to others. Colleagues like Sarah will ask how you pulled it off. Your calendar will show blocks labeled deep work that reliably produce deliverables. Your identity statement will shift from I try to I do. Habit will no longer feel like effort at every step. The rituals you reinforced will give you a reserve of calm under pressure, and your dopamine system will reward deeper satisfaction rather than endless novelty. After 6 months, you live in a different reality. You are the person who finishes what they start. The small wins have compounded into projects. Relationships strengthen because you deliver and your sense of purpose is clearer. You will taste the long-term reward as something richer than the instant spikes. Your nervous system will have new default responses to stress. The world will not be easier, but you will be steadier. Now a final recapitulation and a command you can act on for the next 24 hours. Recap. You identified the enemy, you learned how the cue routine reward loop controls you, you practiced a pre-commitment ritual, you performed a 7-day challenge, and you rehearsed recovery from 3 tension points. Command. Today, before any screen, write a single sentence that states your purpose and perform one 45-minute focus block with your phone in another room. This micro-action is non-negotiable. It builds evidence. It is a brick. If you want to commit in public, write in the comments a single line starting with "Today I will," followed by your micro-action. That public promise anchors accountability and connects you to a community trying the same experiment. If you want to continue receiving these methods, subscribe. Here, we train identity, not momentary motivation. Remember this line and keep it close. When you take control of your mind, you take control of your destiny. Subscribe and join the practice. When you control your mind, the world obeys.